let me answer your points in the order in which they were presented. First of all, and let me paraphrase, am I being too tough on men? You said you were happy to hear that it was also faulting the women. You know, as Megan Robertson, who's here, who's my producer, will tell you, I get criticized all the time for being a man basher, okay? And there's some truth to that. I am tougher on men than women. Maybe that's partially a function of the fact that I was raised by a single mother who did everything for me. But I don't think it's only personal. I think it's... We have to accept that in my strong opinion, we have to accept that a man still has the capacity to change the environment in his home. You know, the ancients said that the man was the sun, the woman was the moon, the children were the stars, right? So he was the sun. If he came home vibrant and alive and made his wife feel appreciated and loved and she was beautiful, then she would reflect that light. And then the children would be the stars. They would glow against the dark night. So many men today are coming home black holes. They have no light to offer. They're beaten. They just want to watch TV. The national average for fathers spending time with their children, you probably heard this, it was just researched again, it's about 3 to 5 minutes a day. So he's offering no light. So the wife feels she has two jobs. She works to help support the family and she does all the housework. Or she's principally responsible for raising the kids. Are we going to say the husbands then are not responsible? All the data says I have every right that I should be tougher on men. All the data says that men are 8 times more likely to be deadbeat dads than wives. The data says that men are 3 times more likely to cheat in a marriage. The data says that wives, just yesterday I sent it to Megan, I think whatever the statistic from CNN said, wives do I think 27% more housework than husbands. All the data says that we men are screwing up. So we can be unscientific about it. We can say, we got to be equal. But that's not what's happening. The husbands want to stay married. Like I said, it's the wives who want out. A woman is love incarnate. Women have a loving nature. They're not perfect, but they are more emotional than men, and I say that as a compliment. Women find it very difficult not to reciprocate when someone shows them love and affection. That's how a man woos a woman. He slowly shows her, even if she's not interested in him. I just saw this incredible quote that Ben found for me for my upcoming book, The 8 Principles of Erotic Attraction, which hopefully will come out in January, God willing. And after the controversial things I've said here tonight, don't expect me to be invited back, so we'll have to lecture about it somewhere else. But Ben found me this great quote. I forgot who it was from. It said, "A woman's true G-spot is in her ears." If you look for it below the waist, you're wasting your time. Who said that? How'd you find it? That was a great quote.
I don't remember who it was.
Okay, I like that. A bit racy, but okay, we can handle it. That's true. You know, a man who focuses attention and love on his wife, she's going to be a happy woman, for the most part. So it's still the man who can create that climate. It's not a sexist thing to say women have their great virtues. And I think one of their great virtues is that they really are emotionally responsive. Sometimes with guys, all the love in the world, they don't appreciate it. Isn't that the #1 complaint that wives have? He doesn't appreciate me. He takes me for granted. Now finally about your point about kids. Let me also correct something, because I thought about it while I'm sitting up here. And if I'm wrong, I want to correct myself. I do not believe that the number of children you have defines how much you love your kids. That's a ridiculous thing to say, and it's stupid. And if I implied that, then I wholly apologize because it's inaccurate. And it maligns so many wonderful parents who only have 1 or 2 kids. I am saying that if you can't afford it and you're thinking about having a child, but you decide that, you know, I'd rather put it into my Lamborghini, your values are seriously skewed. That I will say. Quantity is sometimes a measure of quality. If Apple makes a great iPhone, people are going to buy it. Quantity is sometimes a measure of quality, but not always. We dare not say, I mean, you know, more people watch American Idol than watch, I don't know, PBS documentaries. Is that because it's better? So it's sometimes a measure. Did that answer your question, or did it not?
No, it was I just thinking, I just feel that in general, sometimes there are a lot of sacrifices to have more children, and I just don't think that society in general supports that. It's not just that people don't want to have it, but I think at the outset, societal problems are pressuring it, and I think that it's difficult. Well,
a final very brief comment. Look, if you look at the African American community, the Jewish community, the Latino community, one of the things that distinguishes all three, interestingly, is large families. Or at least certainly higher than the national average. Now you got to ask yourself why. Well, because these are communities that are largely based around the idea of family and community. where individuality is supposed to be subordinated. We want people to be individuals, but to community. The Jewish community is what we speak about. So, you know, I think we do have to value children. On Saturday night, I watched with my kids, then I had to, the younger ones, we had to send them away, it became too violent, but that movie called Children of Men. Anyone see it? It's a movie, it's such an interesting idea. That's why I wanted to watch it. It's about, you know, 30 years into the future, all women have become infertile. In 18 years, no one's had a baby and no one knows why. That itself is an interesting premise. I've never seen it in a movie. But what made it really interesting is when a baby's finally born, a black baby, that there's this war going on. And then the woman walks out with her baby and everyone sees this baby who's hidden. And the war stops. All these guys who want to kill each other are just looking at the baby. And it's almost like a Jesus Christ moment. You know that they're almost revering. It's just a normal baby, but they haven't seen one. You know, for Hollywood to do a movie like that is very rare. Children are not often glorified in these movies. And I found it so interesting because, yes, children, I think, are the best way to avoid war. Even dummies who like fighting, when it comes to sending their own sons into war. Notice that 2 democracies in the history of the world have never gone to war. It's never happened. You cannot find 2 democracies who've ever fought. It's always a democracy and a dictatorship, like the United States and Nazi Germany. Argentina and Britain over the Falklands. It was a military junta who ruled the country at the time. Why is that? Because in a democracy, you and I decide. So we may let our sons go and fight Saddam Hussein, we may not. But when it comes to, but if Iraq was also completely democratic, I mean, in the days of Saddam, they would say, look, get rid of the stupid WMDs, or open up for inspections. We don't want our sons to die for nothing. That's why children have the capacity to bring peace to the world, much more than we adults. They're more innocent. So all I'm saying is, the more children we have in the world, the more the world is blessed. The more the world is blessed. So we are not a society that truly values children if we let them watch 3 or 4 hours of TV a day, because we have no time for that. We're not a society that values children if we give them gifts to get them off our backs instead of giving the gift of ourselves, which would take too much time. We're spoiling them because we don't want to raise them. We come home too tired from work. And that's because we expend our principal energy in an arena where we think our significance will be determined through money, climbing the corporate ladder, than at home. And that's why we have the biggest development in America today, which isn't even the broken American male, or sex, or it's fame. It's American Idol. It's everyone wanting to be famous. Why? Because children who were raised without love find that flimsy, vulgar substitute called attention. And if they're given attention, they think it'll relieve them of the pain of having been neglected of love.
Well, I read this book, and I think of myself as someone who walked down the aisle with the person I always wanted to walk down the aisle with, so blessed in that sense. 5-year-old daughter who's basically healthy and a happy kid, and someone who loves his job. And so I'm reading the book and thinking in various times, that's not part of my reality. And then I would read on and think, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've got a really great job, but do I have moments when I wish I were at the network? And I look at some guy who's at the network, how is he at the network? Absolutely. Or are there moments at 3 o'clock in the morning, how are we going to make this payment? How is that going to happen? And man, what am I doing? If I could only have a little bit more, if I could have done this, boy, if I could have been a little bit better, then, you know, we'd be all set as far as the payments are concerned. What I'm saying is, there are a lot of elements of this book that make you think, and that's a great thing in any book. Thank you for it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
here.
Thank you
for interviewing me. Very honored.
Thank you for coming, everybody. There are books outside. There'll be a signing outside as well.